Hello, my dear students. Mr. Mohammed Said with you in this long video because we will explore this exam, test number 11, which is recently uploaded on the College Board website. We start with the first question. We have an isosceles triangle because it's mentioned here that PQ is equal to QR. This is an isosceles triangle, which means that we have two equal angles. So this x here is the same as 24. So you can easily get the answer 24 without making any calculations, because we know that the isosceles triangle has two equal sides and also two equal angles. And these equal angles are on the different line, which is PQ. Number 2. 4x plus 1 is equal to 33. You can get the value of 4x because we need to get the 4x only. So we can move that 1 from here to the other side with opposite sign. So we have 4x is equal to 33 minus 1 is equal to 32. And we do not need to get the value of x. The question didn't ask about the solution. It says which one can be used as a solution. Or that contain a solution. So look at the options. We have 4x in the left side. So stop here and keep the answer as 32, which is letter A. Question number 3. For the linear function f, the graph of y is equal to f of x. In the xy plane has a slope of 7 and passes through the point 0 and 5. Which equation defines f? Here we can remember or recall the function, the equation narrated in the slope-intercept form, mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And this y-intercept happens when 0 and a number here. This number is y-intercept. So here we have 0 and 5, which makes us the value of b is equal to 5. And the slope is equal to 7 as mentioned here. So m is equal to 7. Then we can write the equation y is equal to 7x instead of mx plus b, which is plus 5. But what if this is not 0? If this is not 0, we have many ways to answer the question. One of them is to use the Desmos graphing calculator. Or maybe we can substitute, replace the x by this number, whatever the number is, and y by this, y, and then m by this one, and get the value of b, which is the differentiator here. So 7x plus 5 is our answer, letter C. Question number 4. 8x squared minus 40 is equal to 32. And here we need to get the positive solution. Be careful that this is a square sign. So maybe if you use the shift solve here, which is not recommended in the question that contains x squared, you can get one of the solutions. The question says what is the positive solution? You're lucky in here, you can use shift solve. But when the question asks about the negative one, do not ever use that shift solve. But how can you answer this question manually? You can just move the 40. We have 8x squared is equal to 30 plus 32 plus 40. To make 8x squared is equal to 72. When we divide both sides by 8, you get x squared is equal to 9, and then x is equal to, should be positive or negative, square root of 9, but we take the positive only because the question asks so. So the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. You can also graph it on Desmos, but because the numbers are a little bit bigger than the screen itself, so it's recommended to use the manual method. Question 5, we have a table here, and a total of 50 children attended a summer camp and were offered 4 types of sandwiches. The table shows the number of children who chose each type of sandwich. As you can see, this is the total of 50. And if one of these children selected at random, what is the probability of selecting a child who chose a vegetarian sandwich? Vegetarian is here. And the total is this one. And we know that the probability is equal to the event number of where the event repeated or mentioned over all possibilities. So we can say that the event we are talking about is 9, which is the vegetarian, 9, and the total is equal to 50. Very easy question. Just write 9 over 50, and that's your answer. Question number 6. Amara grows cherry tomatoes in her backyard. This year, she harvested 750 cherry tomatoes and gave 10% of them to her neighbor. How many of the harvested cherry tomatoes did Amara give to her neighbor? So giving is mentioned here, giving 10% of the total amount of tomatoes. So she gave only 10% of 750. 10% means 0.1, or you can write it as 10 over 100. Percent means over 100. Of means multiplied by, and then 750. Then we can cross out the zeros, 2 zeros from here, 2 zeros from up, and the answer is equal to 75. Question 7, we have a system of 2 equations here, and the solution to the given system of equations is x and y. What is the value of y? In this kind of questions, it's recommended to answer manually by using the elimination method, or subtraction, I mean. Let's try the first one because it's bigger in the values of y. So we can write x plus y means 2y equals to 155, and the other one, x plus y is equal to 125. Now, if we subtract the 2 equations, x minus x cancel out. 2y minus y is equal 1y, which is y, and then 155 minus 125 is equal to 30, and that's the requirement. We need only y. So 30 is the answer, and I think this method is easier than using the calculator, easier than using Desmos. It's a very direct question. Question 8, in a class tournament, each participant earns 1 point for each game the participant plays and ends in a draw, and 3 points for each game the participant wins. This is like the football game. You know that the team who wins takes 3 points, and for example, in the league, in the local league, or in the Champions League, and then if the first team, for example, if the person had a draw, he takes only 1 point. So we can say that the draw is equal to 1 point, and the winning takes 3 points. And as you can see, the D and W are mentioned here. A certain participant in the tournament has earned 41 points. Which equation represents this situation where D represents the number of games the participant has played that ended in a draw, and W represents the number of games this participant has won. So 41 is the total. So the total means we write 41 here and we write plus in the middle here. And because here it says 41 points at the end, and we have W and D. But D cost or has only 1 point, so 1D, and then 3 points for winning, so 3W. The number of winning games we do not know, number of draw games we do not know, but we know the number of points for each. So be careful that this 1, this 3, and this 41 all have the same unit. Every one of them is a point. So look, 3 points, 41 points, and 1 point. So all of them contain the same point because they are the number of points. But this is the number of games. This is the number of games. Number of games that ends with draw, and the number of games that ends with winning. That's the equation. Just remove this 1 because 1D means 1 means D, and then you can get the answer, letter A. Question 9. The function g is defined by this. What is the value of g of x when x is equal to 81? So g of x is equal to the square root of x plus 300. We just replace x by 81. So the answer will be the square root of 81 plus 300. Be careful, the 300 here is outside the root. So we can say that square root of 81 is equal to 9, and then we add 300. So 300 plus 9 is equal to 309, which is letter C. Number 10, a cable provider wants to know how many of its 30,000 customers would be interested in a new service plan. The provider selected 300 customers at random and asked each customer whether the customer would be interested in the new plan. Of those surveyed, of those 300, 8 said they would be interested. Which of the following is the best estimate of the total number of customers who would be interested in the new service plan? So here we can talk about that proportion, because we have 300 and 8 of them are interested. So we can think about the interested people and the surveyed people. We have 8 interested in the total of 300 people surveyed. But what if this 300 customers surveyed changed to be 30,000? Because the question says here, which of the following is the best estimate of the total number of customers who would be interested? Total number, I mean this number, which is 30,000. So just write 30,000 here, and you write X here in this side, and use cross multiply, or you just think about the question, because it's much easier to answer by your eyes. What happens to 300 to be 30,000? We just added 2 zeros, right? It was 2 zeros here and then became 4 zeros. So we added 2 zeros. So 8 becomes 800. Add 2 zeros. That's the value of X. Number 11, which expression is equivalent to this? And in this kind of questions, back solving is the best method to choose, because maybe if you think about the question itself and start looking for factoring out the numbers. Here you can think about taking the common factor, and the first thing comes to your mind is to take the 4 maybe as a common factor, or maybe take 8, or maybe you think about taking 2. This is if you talk about the numbers. Also, if you talk about the letters, you can think about the smallest exponent, which is t to the power of 2, because t to the power of 2 is the one that can be divided. All of them can be divided by, and also s. However, the options may contain something different. So it's much better to work with the options. Don't start from the question. Start from the options. It's much better here and time saver. Let's distribute. And distribute partially. I mean, just multiply 4 by 16 and t only. And think about it. 4 times 16 is 64, which is okay. T, and we have no t here, so only t, but this is t squared, which makes letter A incorrect answer. The second one, t and t squared becomes t power 3, but we have t power 2, which makes B incorrect. T squared times t is t to the power of 3, but we don't have t power 3 in the first one, so this is also incorrect. But here, if you check this one, 4 times 16 is equal to 64. T squared, we don't have t here, so t squared stays. And then s times s squared becomes s to the power of 3, which is given here. And then we distribute this one, we put a negative sign, and 4 times 14 is 56, whatever the answer is. But t becomes t to the power of 3, because we have t squared out and t1 inside. And we don't have s inside, so s stays the last one. So option D is the correct answer. Number 12, we have this system of equations, and one of them is a linear one, and the second is a quadratic one. At what point do the graphs of the equation, the given system, intersect? So here you can use Desmos to get the intersection point, and then just choose the point from the graph. But sometimes the numbers are very big numbers like this one. So you need to be precise when choosing the numbers. Let's try them here. X plus 5 is equal to 14. X plus 5 is equal to 14. And the second one, y is equal to 4x squared. You can just click on squared here and then plus 4. Look at the graphs here, and you can see that the numbers are they can intersect, but in a very distant point. Just move through it, and then just click here, the point appears. So 9 and 328. That's a good way to answer the question. However, you need to move a little bit upper, and you can zoom out in order to get the answer easily. Once you move through the line, and you just point with the mouse, you can just find the point, which is recommended in this way. Also, you can use the manual method to solve this question by using substitution. I mean, you can move this 5 to the other side, and you get x is equal to 14 minus 5 is equal to 9, and then replace this x by 9. This is called the substitution method. Y is equal to 4 into 9 squared plus 4. And here 9 squared, you can just put this on the calculator. And x is 9, so this is x at 9, this is x as 9, and then you just get the answer. Whatever the answer is, you can just use the calculator like this, the manual, the standard calculator, 4 into 9 squared, close the parentheses like this, and make the square sign, and then plus 4. And you get the answer 328, which is given only in letter B. Question 13, 8x plus 11y is equal to 170. The equation gives the possible combinations of numbers of 2009 premium grade log cabin pennies. Look at this word. All of these are, let's say, words, or let's say, the words that gives information about the X. So just focus on one of the words. Let's say premium. Let's name it P. So 2009 can be named as P, premium. And the second one, X here is named as X. So you can just name it X, not P. So it's okay. The 2009 or the premium is named as X. And then 1996 select grade Lincoln pennies, Y. So it's named 1996. It was named as select and symbolized by Y. Then in a collection that is worth a total of 170. So the total is equal to 170, as you can see. And if there are 6 select, this is as an adjective that can give some information about the pennies here. But we are talking about the number 6 for this, which is Y. So the value of Y now is equal to 6. So we can replace Y by 6 in this equation and write 8x plus 11 times 6 equals to 170. Of course, the question asks about X, because here the only unknown value is X. The question says, how many 2009, which is premium, which is X, you can get from this equation. So 8x plus 66 is equal to 170. You can use fifth solve, or you can move the number 66 to the other side. We have 8x is equal to 170 minus 66, which is 104. And we just divide by 8 in both the sides to get the value of x, which is equal to 13. Question number 14. The population of a town of Smithville doubled every 75 years from 1659 to 1959. Look at this distance, this period of time between these, let's say, 3 centuries. The population of this town was 240,000 in 1959, which is the recent one. What was the population in this town in 1659? 1659 is the starting point. So whenever you see the word doubled, you always recall the exponential function. It's not mentioned that it is exponential, but the word doubled is one of the keywords that allows you to write the equation y is equal to a into b to the power of x. Remember this. And y is the recent one. This is recent. A is the initial. B is what happened to the value, which is doubling. And this x is the time. Well, it's not the time in years. The periods, not time. It's called periods. Because here, every span of 75 years is called one period. So how many years passed from 1659 to 1959. It's 300 years. So the x here is equal to 300 years divided by 75 years to see how many 75s in this number, in this period of time. It's 4. So x here should be replaced by 4. X is equal to 4. Y, which is the recent, is equal to 240,000. B is doubling, which means 2. And A is the required one. So let's make them here. Write the equation again. Y, instead of Y, we write 240,000 equals to A, and we do not know the value of A, but B is equal to 2, and then the exponent should be 4. Why 4? Again, because we have 4 periods of 75 in the time span between 1659 to 1959. So just subtract these numbers, these two numbers, and divide them by 75, because it doubles every 75 years. So now we can use shift solving to get the value of this, or you can just simplify this 2 to the power of 4 to be 16. It means 8 times 16, which is 16a. And then here we have 240,000. And we just divide by 16 in both of the sides. 240,000 divided by 16, and you get the answer 15,000. And this also makes sense because 15,000 is in the ancient year. Yeah, it was in the beginning of this observation. And then it moves to be this very big number after 300 years. That's making logic. Number 15, the scatter plot shows the relationship between x and y. A line of best fit is also shown, as you can see. The question says, which of the following is close to the slope of the line of best fit? So the slope is something can be considered as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 using the formula. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can also use the rise over run, but if you want to use the rise over run, you need to be careful of two things. The first thing is to choose the accurate points. I mean, this point is okay. Don't choose the points of the scatter plot itself, because that question did not ask you about the scatter plot. It asked about the line of best fit. Line. So focus on the line. Choose 2 points on the line. None of them is given. One of them is the blue one here, and the other one is maybe this one is a perfect choice. Why I choose these especially? Because one of them like this, for example, look, it has a clear x value, which is 3, a clear y value, which is 5. This one also contains 8 as x and 8 as y. So you can just consider 8 and 8, first point, for the second point, and the first point is 3 and 5. Always remember to read the x value first. 3 and 5 and 8 over 8, and 8 and 8. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 8 minus 5 over 8 minus 3. And you get 8 minus 5 is equal to 3, 8 minus 3 is equal to 5, 3 over 5 is your answer, and 3 over 5, of course, is equal to 0.6. Or you can use the calculator, or you can just multiply it down and up by 2, because whenever you have a denominator of 5, guys, if you want to simplify, just multiply by 2. 2 is an ideal number to be multiplied. So sometimes when you simplify a fraction like 3 over 5, it's better to multiply, not divide. Sometimes we use multiplication other than division. Multiplying by 2 up and down gives you 6 up and 10 down, and 6 over 10 means 0.6. That's it. And 0.6 is the same as 0.60, which is given at letter A. Question 16, which quadratic equation has exactly one distant real solution? Whenever you have an equation like this, x squared is equal to, for example, 9, we have two solutions, 3 and negative 3. So x squared, or whatever the value or the amount in the left squared, equals a number, a positive number, you have two solutions. So here, a positive number squared, two solutions. A positive number squared, two solutions. What if x squared is equal to negative 9? We have no solution, because this is a negative number. We cannot get the square root of a negative number. So here, zero solution or no solution. But the only case that gives one number is when x squared is equal to 0, or something squared is equal to 0, like x plus 15, whatever the number is, squared is equal to 0. This is only one solution. So that happened in option A only. Question 17, the cost to rent a bus from company X is $950 for the first 3 hours and an additional $50 for each hour after the first 3 hours. If the total cost of rent the bus from company X for T hours, where T is greater than 3, is $1,150, which equation represents this situation. This kind of questions is, some people consider it a very hard one. If you understand the concept behind this, it will be very easy, but it's a matter of understanding. Think about it as, for example, somebody comes to your home and wants to paint your room, painting your room. And he says that I will take $20 for the first 2 hours. And then for every hour after this 2 hours, I'll take only 10. I'll take only 7, for example, $7 for each. So if he stays with you 10 hours, what happens? 10 hours should be split into two parts. 2 hours, the first case, and then 8 hours. For the first 2 hours, he will take 20 each, for example. If the word each is mentioned here, so 20 times 2 is 40. And then 8 has another calculation. 7 times 8, 56. So now we add them together to get 96. So we cannot consider x here in the equation. What I mean by this? I mean that you write the equation as y is equal to f of x is equal to mx plus b. Let's write it like this. Y is equal to mx plus b. But the m here, the x here is not mentioned as x, is not considered x. It should be considered x minus 3 or t minus 3. Why? Because for the first 3 hours, we have some kind of calculation. And then after 3, which for example, 4 hours, we exclude the first 3 hours, which means x should be replaced by t minus 3. You have to replace x by t minus 3 because we remove the first 3 hours from our calculation. So the company made the total of what? The total of 1,150. This is the total, which is y, equals to m. M is always included with or associated with the word each, so, or pair. So here we have pair hour, so 50. But instead of x here, we write x minus or t minus 3 because we exclude the first 3 hours. T minus 3, the first 3 hours has another calculation, which is 950. But this is not each, it's just 950 for the 3 hours together. So just write B as 950. This is called the fixed fee. B is the fixed fee when it comes to the number that cannot be changed. Like the delivery guy, when you have some friends and ask for some meals, and the delivery guy talks to you in the phone and says, "I will get the delivery of $10, whatever the number of the meals I get." For example, if you cancel, you have to pay this $10. Do you understand me? Which means the number here should be fixed. I cannot change it. Now we can use this equation and you can just flip them, put this in the right, put this in the left. You can find the answer, letter C. 950 plus 50 times t minus 3 is equal to this number. Just flipping or reordering the equation and you get the answer, letter C. Question 18. X plus y is equal to 53, 11x minus 18y is equal to 730. Which graph gives you this? The question says the given equations represent the possible numbers of beach chairs, X, and umbrellas, Y, rented at a park last month, and the total spent in dollars to rent those beach chairs and umbrellas. Which of the following graphs represent this situation? You can use the Desmos here to just grab these and then compare your graph with these. But I recommend another way. which is the sloping. How to get the slope? The slope here in the linear equation, which is written in the standard form, we have something called standard form of the equation, of the linear equation. It's written like this: ax plus by is equal to c. Whenever the x and y are together in one side and c in another side, this is called the standard form. And the standard form is already written here, as you can see, in both of them. So it's okay. How to get them the slope? Let's say m1 for the first equation is equal to negative a over b. That's a very easy and efficient method to use to find the slope. m1 here for the first equation, negative a over b, which is negative 1 over 1. It's negative 1. This is a negative number. And m2 is negative a over b, negative 11 over 18. This is a negative number. So negative slope means something like the backslash. You know that something called the forward slash? You remember this? You know that forward slash, something like this. This is always positive. If the line is something like this, it's positive. Backslash, like this is always negative. So because both of the equations have negative slopes, so both of them are like this, something like this. And this happens only on letter B. So here, this is a backslash, and it's also another backslash. But this is a forward slash, and this is a backslash, which is not our equation. And this is also a forward slash, which makes it incorrect. This is also a forward slash, and this is a constant, which makes the equation y is equal to 50 or 51, whatever, without mentioning x. This equation here does not have x. It's y equals a number. So our answer is letter B, because both of the lines have backslash direction, or they are all decreasing, which makes B the correct answer. Question 19. We have this triangle, and this question is repetitive here. We can see in many exams, even in the real ones. In the triangle QRS shown, QR is less than RS. This is an extra piece of information. We do not need to use it. Which expression represents the length of QS? So how can we get QS? Whenever you are asked about QS, you can name it, for example, as X. And you have to look at the options. Sine what or cosine what? The angle used here is Q. All of them are using Q. So you have to focus on Q or color Q. Don't color any other angle. So Q, 18, and X. Think about these 3 points, 3 things. Q has this number as opposite, and X is the hypotenuse. So we have to remember that the sine of any angle is equal to opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay, so sine Q is equal to the opposite of Q, which is 18, over the hypotenuse, which is X. X is not mentioned in the options, but we need the value of X to represent the QS. X is the same as QS. Okay, how can we get X? Here, I want you to remember this skill, to master this skill. Whenever you have a number here, like A is equal to B over C. If you want to get C, what to do? Move this up, move this down. So C is equal to B over A. If you have 8 is equal to X over, let's say, Y. How can we get Y? Y is equal to X over 8. That's a skill I want you to master. So here we want to get X. Move this up here, move this down here. So X is equal to 18 over sine Q, which gives you the answer, letter D. Question 20. Circle A in the XY plane has the equation, as you can see. Circle B has the same center as circle A. The radius of circle B is 2 times the radius of circle A. The equation dividing the circle B is this. K is the constant. What is the value of K? K here is the number that should be replaced by R squared. So remember that the formula of the circle is always written like this. X minus H squared plus Y minus K all squared is equal to R squared. So if you want to consider circle A, x minus plus 5 all squared plus y minus 5 all squared is equal to 25. This means that r squared is equal to 25, which means r is equal to 5. You need to get the square root because r squared is equal to 25, not only r. So r of this circle is equal to 5. But in B, we have something different. In B, the radius is doubled 2 times. So r, let's make it capital, r is equal to 2r. Double this, which makes it 10. But if you want to write the equation of B, of circle B, you write x minus h. The question says that the center is the same. So x plus 5, y minus 5, they are the same. X plus 5 squared, y minus 5 squared. But the problem comes here. The radius squared should be r squared, right? But instead of r, we write 10. So 10 squared. And 10 squared is equal to 100. And it's mentioned as k. So k is equal to 100. Some people have some mistakes in the strategy of solving. They say just 25, double 25. No, we cannot double 25 because you need to double the radius. This is not the radius. This is the square of the radius. And some people also say, okay, I get the square of the radius and the answer is 10. The answer is not 10. You need to square it again because the question, the formula says r squared should be written at the last here. So 100 is the correct answer. Question 21, we have this equation. And the best method to, when you see something like this, is to use the calculator. Because the calculator gives you something similar to this one. Like here, just try choose mode 5, 3, and I use this calculator, which is the standard one. If you have something different, you know how to use to get the equation which contains x squared, the polynomial or the trinomial. So we can write A as 1, B as 7, and C as 5. This number is exactly the same as this one. However, k is the number that's inside the root, which is 29. So just write 29 for k, and that's it. The question asks about the value of k. So that's a very simple method to get the answer. But sometimes be careful, because sometimes the calculator gives you something like -7 plus 3 root 5, for example, over 2. What happens if you have this? You can think about comparing. -7 is the same as -7, cancel out. 2 is the same as 2, cancel out. Then we write 3 square root 5 is equal to square root k, and then square both of the sides and work on to get the value of k in that case. But in our case, you're lucky because everything is identical in your answer on the calculator and in the question itself. So the answer is 29. Question 22. A scientist measured the length of 240 gray seals from Muscogee Island and 120 gray seals from Sable Island. The scientist determined that the mean length of 240 gray seals from Muscogee Island is 88. And the mean length of the 120 gray seals from Sable Island was 94 inches. What was the mean length of all the 360 gray seals the scientists measured for this study? We have to remember the formula of the mean, because the mean here is the keyword. Mean is equal to the total, or the, let's say, yeah, total over the number. For example, if you have 3, 5, and 7, you need to get the mean. You have to add 3 plus 5 plus 7 and divide by 3. But here, the mean is given in 2 values, in 2 cases. Let's study first the Muscogee Island, and then we study the Sable Island. The Muscogee Island, 240. This is the number. It should be written down here, 240. And the total we don't know. Let's name it T, but let's name it T1 because we still have another T different. And the mean is given here. Look at the question. The mean of the 240 is 88. So we're at 88 here. And then we cross multiply. If you want to get the value of T, just multiply these together. T1 is equal to 88 times 240. Let's keep the calculation to the end of the question. Okay, and then the Sable Island. The mean is equal to 94. So we'll just write 94 here. Is equal to the total. We don't know the total, T2. Let's name it T2. And over the number, and the number here is 120. If you want to get T2, you just multiply this again. So T2 is equal to 94 times 120. And then the question asks about what? What is the mean of the all 360? So we get back to the formula and write the mean is equal to the 360, I mean. So the total is 360, and this is the number, I mean the number, not the total. The number of all the seals is 360 replaced by this number. And then the total is the total of the totals. I mean this plus this. So write them down here, 88 times 240 plus 94 times 120. And then we put this all on the calculator just once. No need to make them in chunks. Just make it only once. And then make a fraction bar like this, 88 times 240, and then plus 94 times 120. Don't be afraid about mixing up the order of operations. The calculator knows well how to use the order of operations. Don't worry about it. 360, and then you get the answer 90, which is letter B. Because some people have some doubts about the calculators, but because you use the standard scientific calculator like this, don't worry about the calculation if you use multiplication and addition like this one. But if you use the calculator of the supermarket, it will be the problem because it mixed out all the math and makes a problem with making multiplication with addition or subtraction. Question number 23, we have an exponential function, as you can see. And it says the graph of y is equal to f of x plus 4 is shown. Oh, plus 4. And we need to get which equation to find the f of x itself. So f of x, this is y, not f of x. This is the graph of y equals f of x plus 4, which means we move the f of x 4 steps up to get this. So it was 4 steps down. So just imagine that this point is 0 and 8. It was 0 and 4 because we move 4 steps up to get this image or this graph as shown. So it was here. So instead of 0 and 8, we use 0 and 4 because our original graph should be something like this. Sorry for my handwriting, it's not that good. So here is our original graph, which is f of x. This is y equals to f of x plus 4, and this is f of x only. So f of x plus 4 means make it 4 steps up. So we can just think about this and use a point like 0 and 4. I mean, 0 and 4 is our ideal point you can use. This is very clear point. So 0 and 4, replace x by 0, and you get the answer of 4. If you do that, if you get that, you can get the correct option. So let's check letter A. Negative 3 to the power of x, which is 0, plus 1. And this, guys, gives you 0. Why? 3 to the power of 0 alone is equal to 1. 1 times negative means negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. Not 4, which we are looking for, so A is incorrect. B, negative 3 to the power of x, which is 0, plus 5. Negative stays negative because the 0 is not controlling both of them. It just controls the 3. Be careful. The 0 is on the 3 only, not on the parentheses. So keep the negative. 3 to the power of 0 is equal to 1 and then plus 5. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4, which is we are looking for. So the answer is B for that. Question 24. Two lines intersect at exactly one point, forming two acute angles and two obtuse angles. The measure of one of these angles is 9x minus 140. Which of the following could not be the sum of the measures of any two of these angles? This question is considered to be a hard one. And maybe this is one of the questions that are randomly inserted in the exams for the exam, let's say, difficulty measure that the mathematicians do. Sometimes they put a couple of questions inside the exam and they are not calculated in your score. This will give them some insight about where to put them in the next exams, or how to, what level the students all over the world have reached in order to make the exam much harder in the next years. So this is one of them, I think. So how can we get this idea here? Two lines intersect at exactly 1 point, so we can make the two lines something like this. So sorry, two lines only like this, intersect at 1 point, not parallel lines, forming two acute angles and two obtuse angles. So let's name this as A. So this will be A also, because they are vertical angles, they are the same. And this is B, this is also B. That's how we make it. And then the question is the measure of one of these angles. Maybe it's acute, maybe it's obtuse, whatever the number is, that the angle is. And the question says which is not the sum of the measures. So 9x minus 140, what is the best method to answer this question? The best method here is to put any number instead of x. But try to make the number reasonable. I mean, replace x with a number. If you want to replace x with a number like 10, for example, it will be 9 times 10 is 90. 90 minus 140 is a negative number. No negative angle. Just increase the number. Maybe 20. Yeah, 20 is perfect. So let's think about 20. So let's let x equals to 20. And be careful, we use this number in the question itself and in the options as well. And then once you get the x as 20, you can get A. A is, let's consider this as A, no problem, A or B, whatever the number is. So you can just write A. A is equal to 9x, 9 times 20 minus 140. 9 times 20 is 180. And 180 minus 140 is equal to 40. And this makes sense. Look, A is about 40, which is okay. But what about B? You know that A plus B together have a total of 180 because they are called a linear pair. Linear pair means two points, two angles that make a straight angle. So B is equal to B plus A is 180, which makes B as 140 because 40 plus what equals 180 plus 140. That's A and that's B. The sum of the two angles, and it's not mentioning two acute or two obtuse, or maybe one of them is acute and the other is obtuse. We do not know. So what are the probabilities? Let's make a table here. Maybe the sum, in the sum we use let's say angles here. Let's write angles and then write the sum here because the question asked about the sum. Maybe the two angles are acute. So A plus A, which makes 2A. Or maybe they are 2B, two obtuse. The question did not mention. Or maybe one acute and one obtuse. These are the only three probabilities. So 2A means what? 2 times 40, which is 80. So 80 is something we can use. 2B, 2 times 140, which is equal to 280. We can use this number. A plus B, and of course A plus B is 180, as we mentioned before. No need to substitute. A plus B is 180. So any of these is correct, but we need the incorrect one. We need the one that is not correct. So let's now check the answers. Also replace x by what? By 20. So negative 18 times 20 plus 280. You use the calculator to get this. Negative 18 times 20 plus 280, and get the number which is not listed here. This is the answer. This is the answer because this answer is not here, and we need the answer which is not included in these three. What about letter B if you want to check? Negative 18 times 20 plus 640, and this can be done on the calculator without removing the answers. Just remove this number and replace it by 640, and you get 220, which is mentioned here, as you can see. 280, I mean, which is here. So that's okay, but we cannot choose it because we need the answer which is not listed. The third one, 18x, 18 times 20 minus 280. Let's make it on the calculator. 18. This will be replaced by negative 280. And here in the left side, we have this negative, should be positive, because the question is 18, not negative 18, and you get the answer of 80, which is also listed here. So that's okay. We don't need it because we need the number. This is 80 and this is 280. We need the number that's not listed here. The last one is 180. It's already listed. So all of them are listed, 80, 280, and 180, and 180, as you can see, except this one, negative 80 is not one of the listed numbers, which means A is the incorrect one, which we must choose. Question 25. 2x plus 4y plus 9y is equal to 7. The given equation is one equation in a system of two linear equations. If the system has at least one solution. Oh, this is a very, very critical word. At least one solution. If you do not scrutinize the question and look carefully at this word, you will miss the mark of the question. At least means what? At least one solution, because we have three cases, guys. We have three cases. Let's recall the three cases. Case one, infinitely many solutions. When A1 over A2 is equal to B1 over B2 is equal to C1 over C2. Infinitely many solutions. And we have one solution. When A1 over A2 is not equal to B1 over B2. And in this case, we do not check C. And we have the third case, which is no solution or zero solution. When A1 over A2 is equal to B1 over B2, but not equal to C1 over C2. But we exclude this because of the word at least. So at least means one or more. At least when I say at least one solution makes it 1, 2, 3, or whatever the number, which means one or infinitely, because infinitely is bigger than one. So maybe we use this one or that one. So we exclude this option from our answer and focus on these. Whenever the original one with any of these happen to be applying these conditions, we choose them. I mean, consider this the original one. Use it for with the first one as a system. I mean, 2 is A1, 3 is A2. So 2 over 3. The first part is 2 over 3, A1 over A2. Okay. 9 is B1, 13.5 is B2. 9 over 13.5 is equal to, use your calculator, 9 over 13.5 is the same number, 2 over 3, which make it A1 over A2 equals B1 over B2. Let's check C1 over C2, 7 over 10.5. Use the calculator again, 7 over 10.5, let's erase everything, 7 over 10.5, it gives you also 2 over 3. So here we applied the first condition with this equation, which makes it correct. So 1 is with us. So maybe the answer is A or C only. Let's check the first one with the second one here. And we consider this as A1, this is A2, B1 and B2. And obviously they are not the same. Why? 2 over 2 over 3, this is the number of the question. 2 over 3 is okay. But what about 9 over negative 13.5 is a negative number. So they are not the same. I mean, 2 over 3 is A1 over A2. But what about B1 over B2? In this case, 9 over this number, 9 over negative 13.5. This is negative 2 over 3. Are they the same? Not equal, which applies this one, which make it unequal, which makes it one solution. So this with this makes infinitely many solutions. This with this makes one solution, which make them both okay, because at least one. At least one means one or infinitely many solutions. So 1 and 2 are okay, so we have to choose letter C. Question 26. A right rectangular prism has a base area of 24 square centimeters. The length of the base of the rectangle prism is 8 over 3, and the height is 15. Which expression represents the surface area of the right rectangular prism? So we remember the formula of the surface area. This formula is not written in the exam, but we need to remember it to save too much time. Surface area of the rectangular prism is equal to 2 times length times width plus length times height plus width times height. I mean, every two come together once. But do we have the length? The length, yes, the length of the base is 8 over 3. So let's list them here. Length is equal to 8 over 3. Do we have the width? No. But we can get the width. I'll tell you now how to get the width. Do we have the height? Yeah, the height is 15. The height is 15. So that's 15. How can we get the width? Because we have the area of the base to have 24. And the area of the base is, because the base is a rectangle already, so it's length times width. So the area is 24t, given in the question, equals to length, which is 8 over 3, times width. How can we get the width here? We remove this. How can we remove this number? We move it to the other side by flipping it, because it's already multiplied. We have to divide, but dividing by a fraction makes it reciprocal. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of the fraction. This is the definition of the division. When I say divide by 5, it's the same as multiply by 1 over 5, the same answer. So W here is equal to 24t times 3 over 8. And if you want to simplify this, you need to answer without the calculator here. Divide this by 8, you get 3. Divide this by 8, you get 1. So 3 times 3 is 9. And t, don't forget t. So W is 3 times 3 is 9t. Now we get to this equation again. So the surface area is equal to 2 length times width. And length times width, no need to substitute here, because length times width is the base, which is already given, 24t, if you think about it. Or you can, if you want to check them, you just multiply these, you get the same answer. 24t is the length times width with the width with this, which is the same as the area of the base. 24t plus L times h, this times this, 8 over 3 times 15 plus W times h, 9t times 15. And we need to calculate this simply by manual, in a manual method. This is 24t, okay, 24t plus, you can simplify the 3 and 15 to get 5, because 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 times 8 is 40, and 40 without t. And 9 times 15 is 135, but we have a t here. Now we combine the like terms. 2 into 24t plus 135t is equal to 159t. And then we have a 40 to be written. Then we distribute the 2. 2 times 159 is 318t plus 2 times 40 is equal to 80. And this is how to use the calculations. That's a good way to answer the question. And this is a formula I want you to recall every time we are asked about the surface area of a rectangle prism. So now the answer is letter B. And our last question in this module, for a particular car, the linear function f gives the predicted power in brake horsepower, bhp, for engine speeds between 1000 revolutions per minute, RPM, and 6000 revolutions per minute. According to the function, the car's predicted power is 433. The brake horsepower at the engine speed of this. So here the 433 is this number, which is the F. F is the power in bhp. So bhp is now the F itself, which is y. So we can say f of x itself is equal to 433. At what? At an engine speed of this speed. And if you go through the question, you find the x is the speed. So x is equal to 3331. This is a y and this is the x, or this is f of x and this is x. And the equation is already given here. The question asks for a. So f of x is equal to 1 over 7 x minus a plus 433. And now we can replace x by this number. So, and y by this number also. So we can write 433 instead of f of x, and 1 over 7 into x, which is 3331 minus a. We do not know the value of a, but we need it, plus 433. You can use Desmos, or you can use the calculator, the regular one. You can just write everything like this, 433, and the equal sign is alpha with this button right here. 1 over 7. Let's make it a fraction bar. 1 over 7. And if you want to ask about how to use the Desmos, you can go back to the file, the PDF file. You find the way to answer using Desmos as another option. 3331 minus a, and a here can be considered as x. And then go out and write plus 433, shift, then calc, then equal sign, and you get the same number as 3331. So that's the value of a. Okay, that's the value. That's how to answer the question. You can also consider one of the points as a given information, and this is a linear equation. You know, this is the linear one because x is the power of 1. You can also use Desmos, replacing any of these points. Why didn't we replace this and this? It's okay, you can do them. You can, instead of f of x 433, you can use 600. And instead of y equal 3,331, you can use this number. You get the same answer. That's all about the first module, and the second is coming now. Thank you very much. And now we start with module 2, which expression is equivalent to this. And you can see here 6x and 5x are like terms that we can add them together. We can combine them, but we cannot add with them the 4y. So 6x plus 5x is 11x, and then we write 4y. Of course, they cannot be added. They are not equal or not like terms. So 11x plus 4y is the answer, letter C. Question number 2. To study the characteristics of sea stars in a group of tide pools, researchers measured the diameter of the sea stars within the tide pools. The dot plot gives the diameter to the nearest inch of each of the sea stars in those tide pools. So you need to understand the dot plot here. Every point of these is a star. I mean, for example, if you consider this one, this is one of the sea stars, which is 20-inch. Let's say that the width of it, the measure of the diameter. So it has a diameter of 20 inches. Okay, what about this one? One of the sea stars, which has a 17-inch diameter, and so on. But here, what is the representation or the interpretation of the 3 here? So we have 3 sea stars that each measure a 20-inch diameter. Okay, so this is the number of the stars. Based on the dot plot, how many sea stars, which means you count here, how many sea stars had a diameter to the nearest inch of 16? So 16-inch is here. How many, which means how many points here? So you can just count this and you find them 6. So the answer is 6, letter B. Question number 3, a rectangle has a length of 56 inches and a width of 28. There's a very simple question when it asks about the area of the rectangle, because the area of the rectangle is length times the width. So the area is the length, 56, times the width, which is 28. Simply use the calculator to save some time. 56 times 28, and you get 1,568, which is letter B. Question 4. We have a system of equations here. What is the best method to solve this? The solution to the given system of equations was the value of y. We need to get y only. So the best method to use here is to substitute. Easier even than the calculator. 10x is equal to 110. Just divide by 10. Dividing by 10 gives you the value of x only because we cancel the 0. So x is equal to 11. And then put 11 here. That's easier than using the calculator even or Desmos. 6 times 11 minus 63 is equal to y. So y is equal to 66 minus 63, which is equal to 3. The answer is letter D. Question 5. The function f is defined by this. For what value x does f of x is 63? So here we have to replace all of f of x, not x. by 63. So just write it here. F of x is equal to 9 into 2x plus 3. Replace this by 63. 63 is equal to 9 times 2x plus 3. We can use shift solving to get the value of x, or you can divide both sides by, let's make it manual for those who study the basics SAT, divide by 9. And then 63 divided by 9 is equal to 7, and then cancel out the 9, you get 2x plus 3. Move that. The question asks about the value of x, which is the solution. Move the 3 when you have 2x is equal to 7 minus 3, which is 4, and then divide both sides by 2 to get x equals to 2. 2 is here, and that's the correct answer. Question number 6. 10x is equal to 86. What is the value of x here in the solution to the given equation? That's very simple. 10x is equal to 86, and dividing by 10, whenever you divide a number by 10, just put a decimal point after one digit from the right. So x is equal to 8.6. The decimal point moves from here to here. Or just use the calculator if the number is a little bit harder. 8.6 is your answer. Question 7, we have this exponential function. Whenever you have exponential function like this number is always something called initial. Remember that I had a video before, you can refer to it to understand the exponential function and every component of it. When you have y is equal to a times b to the power of x, or maybe x over c, every one of these is associated with a word. For example, this y is called the total, or let's say the amount after, and this initial, or the amount before. B is the rate, and this is associated with 1 plus something percent, or 1 minus something percent. This is called the growth, or increasing. This is called decay, which is decreasing. What about x is the time, or the periods of time? And this C here is associated always with the word each, or every. So remember that, and we also apply this system here in our question. 3,600 is our number. That's the only number written in the question. The given equation where A is a positive constant gives the predicted number of bacteria, Y, in a growth medium X hours after the number of bacteria was initially measured. According to the equation, what is the predicted number of bacteria initially? Look, initially. Initially means this number that comes as a coefficient without an exponent, so the number is 3,600. Measured in the growth medium, so the answer is 3,600 for this word initially. So most of the questions that are related to the exponential function, always about keywords. Question number 8. Leo goes to a baking store to buy containers and tape. Or a packing store. Leo has $15. Oh, this word has another meaning, which makes budget. So the meaning of the word has in English, to translate it into math, makes it budget. And the budget means less than or equal. Always the budget, we use this word for the budget, or the has. So for example, if you have, because we cannot say you has. If you have, for example, $200 and you went to the market, you cannot spend more than this. You have to spend this amount of time of money or less. So less than or equal should be associated with the word has or with the word budget. So remember this, and we can of course exclude the letter or eliminate B and D because they contain opposite inequality sign. Each container costs 1.787. So container, of course, it should be mentioned as C, container, and the tape is T. That's logic. And each roll of tape costs 2.40. So always in the SAT, all of these three numbers should be written, and you have to write them in the order. The order will not ever in the SAT mixed up. So this number with C should be written in the beginning. So 1.87C plus, why plus? Because we have this and we need to spend them all. 2.40 for the tape So 2.40, I mean 2.40 t. And then the total should be less than or equal to 15. That's our inequality, which is, as you can see, letter A. So we cannot mix them up and we cannot make greater than or equal. We cannot mix them up and write 2.40 with C, because 2.40 is coming with the T, the tape. Sorry, 1.87 with the tape and 2.40. So yeah, each container C is 1.87. So 1.87 is always associated with C, not with T. So answer letter A. And then number 9, the graph. This is also an exponential graph. You need to remember that the linear. The question says decreasing, exponential, or increasing, or decreasing or increasing linear. As you can see, which of the following best describes the graph? Linear means a line. This is not a line. The line like this one is a linear, but this is not a line. It's something increasing exponentially. This is exponential growth. And it's increasing because your direction is from left to right. This is our direction, not the opposite. We are moving up, which means we are increasing. So increasing exponential, letter B. You can only recognize the graph like this. Number 10, we have this graph, and the shaded region shown in the graph represents all the solutions to which inequality. Here, guys, we have the horizontal line, as you can see. This is our horizontal line. And the horizontal line always have an equation of y equals something, not x. So even this one, the x-axis itself has an equation, which is called y is equal to 0. This line right here is y is equal to, for example, 12. This line is y is equal to 25, and so on. This equation is y equal to, it's above 35, so let's make it 36, for example, 37. But we colored the part that comes above this. Above means greater than or equal to this number, which is about 36 or 37. That's our equation. Y is greater than because we colored the part that comes above, not beneath, not below. And or equal because this line is solid. If this line is dashed, something like this will be y is greater than only without making this sign here, okay? So remember the difference. And that's the answer of the question. Y is greater than or equal to 36, letter D. We cannot take x because what about x? X is a vertical line like this. So whenever this is y-axis and this is point 1, this equation is x is equal to 1. And if we color this part, for example, this would be x is greater than or equal to 1. And if we make this line dashed, y is greater than only, sorry, x is greater than only 1, and so on. Question number 11. There are 240 players in a tennis competition that includes 4 rounds of matches. Each player in the competition will play a match against another player in round 1. At the end of each round, the player who loses the match is eliminated, and the player who won the match advances to the next round to play a match against another winning player. That's the same as for example, the International World Cup. We have, for example, let's say 16 teams. These 16 teams are something like this. And every 2 together meet in one time. And then we have 8. Okay. And then these 8 get another match for everyone. And then we have only 4. And then after that, they play together, get 2, and then the winner comes down here. So every time the number halved, the number is halved always. So it was 16, it became 8. Look at what happened. And then 8 becomes 4, and then 4 becomes 2, and then this is the final match to show up the winner. So the numbers are halved. Of course, it's halved. It's an exponential function. As you can see here, it's exponential, of course, because it's written like this. Exponent of r, which makes it exponential. But how can we consider this? The word halved with V, not with F. Halved is not mentioned in the question, but this comes from understanding. Because the winner goes to the next level, and the loser gets out. If we have 8 winners and 8 losers, the next time will be 4 winners from the 8. So every time we have them. Half means this number B is half. So Y, or as it mentioned in the question, P, number of players, equals to A. A is the initial. What is the number we started with? We started with 240. There are already currently 240. This is A, the initial number, and B is halved always. And then the exponent is R instead of X, as you can see. So letter C is your answer. Question number 12, line K is defined by this, and line G is parallel to line K. And it passes through the point 0 and 5. This is K, which of the equations represents or defined line J. So line K has this equation. Y is equal to 6x plus 4. Now we have the slope of 6 and the y-intercept is 4. We don't need y-intercept of K, but we have J, and J is parallel. Parallel means the same slope. Remember, if it's perpendicular, we change the 6 to be negative 1 over 6. But if it's parallel, the slope is still the same, 6. But if you have 0 and 5, this 5 is a y-intercept. Whenever you have a 0 here, this number is B. So B is equal to 5. And now we can get the equation of J. Y is equal to mx plus b, m6x plus b, which is 5. And that's our equation in letter A. Question 13. In the triangle shown, what the value of x? Here it's an isosceles right triangle. What do I mean by isosceles right or right isosceles triangle? Right isosceles means if this is 15 and this is 15, these two angles must be the same. And I advise you not to rely on your eyes. Don't say this is not the same as this because it does not appear. Don't use your eyes. Don't trust your eyes in geometry because figures are not drawn to scale. I mean, don't, for example, use the measuring tool to find the value of x. So x here is the same as this one, and every one of them is 45 because this is 90 already. If this is 90 degrees measure, those together will be 90. Because we have a total of 180. So do not say this way. Do not answer in this way and say, okay, 180 minus 90 is equal to 90, and then 90 divided by 2 is equal to 45, because they are equal. Because these sides are equal, these angles are equal. Yes, but no need to use 180. Just divide, because if this is 90, those are 90. So 90 divided by 2, and instead of saying 180 minus 90 over 2. So 90 over 2 is better than using this. So it's 45 for each. X is 45, and this is also 45. Question 14. What is the radius of the circle in this equation? So x minus h squared plus y minus k all squared is equal to r squared. We compare it with this given equation. X plus 2, x plus 5. Whenever, y plus 5. Whenever you are asked to with the center is negative 2 and negative 5. We are change the sign. But the question asks about the radius, and the radius is coming from this equation. So we have to write r squared is equal to 169, which makes r equals the square root of 169, and of course the positive one because we do not have a negative radius. So we have 13 at the answer. What if the question asks about maybe the diameter? This 13 becomes 26 because the diameter is the double of the radius. What if the question asks about the area? We use the formula area of the circle is pi r squared. What if it asks about the circumference? Circumference is 2 pi r. We use r, like 13 for r, and then calculate every one of them whenever the question asks about any of these. Question number 15, we have this diagram here. The graph shows the estimated boiling point y in degrees Celsius. So remember that y has the definition, because the word in the question of the interpretation, you have to consider the letters and make a table of values, of meanings. Y is the boiling point. Boiling point. And y here, and the question says that a normal paraffin with a molecule molecular weight of X grams per mole. X here is the weight in grams per mole. And we see something here after this, which statement is the best interpretation of this point. This number is X and this number is Y. So we can say that X here is 149.02 and Y is 186.05. So if you want to get the best interpretation or the correct answer, you need to mention this number with the word boiling point and this number with the word weight, and maybe you can add in grams per mole. So let's see the answers here. Let's remember this with this. So 149.02 grams per mole. Letter A says the normal paraffin with a molecular weight of this. No, this is not correct. The weight should not be this number. The weight should be 149.02. So A is incorrect. A normal paraffin with a molecular weight of the, yeah, that's correct. Weight is here. Look, the weight is this number. Per mole has an estimated boiling point. Boiling point is Y. That's correct. Okay, why not C? The minimum, not correct. We have no minimum in this graph. Yeah, I know that this can be considered a minimum, but maybe it's going to the left. And the point here is not minimum or maximum. It's something normal in the middle. So it's not minimum. It's not also a maximum. The answer is letter B. Question number 16 for the polynomial function f, the graph y is equal to f of x in the xy plane passes through the points 0, -5 and 0, 1 and 0, and 4 and 0. Which of the following must be the factor or a factor of f of x? We need to consider something very important. These points are called the x-intercepts because they contain y always in the left side, on the right side. So maybe the graph is something like this. Passes through 3 points. This, for example, is -5 and 0. And this point is 1 and 0. And this point is, this is 4 and 0. All of them contain 0, which makes it y is equal to 0, as you can see. Any of these points should be written as a factor. How can we use the factor? F of x can be written as a, whatever a is, x minus the first one, x minus -5, x minus the second one here, x minus 4. These are called the factors. Minus 1, x minus 4. And here you can see that these are called factors. Why factors? Because if you say, for example, x plus 5 is equal to 0, because this is a 0 line, you move the 5 to be x equal to -5, which is given here. When y is equal to 0, move the -1 to be 1, move the -4 to be 4. So all these are factors, x minus 1, x minus 4, and x plus 5. Any of them is given here? Yeah, x minus 1 is the only one given in the options. Question number 17. This is the table. And the question says for the linear function g, the table shows 4 values of x and their corresponding values of g of x. The function can be rewritten in this y equals mx plus b, where m and b are constants, what the value of b. B is the y-intercept. But y-intercept is always coming with the 0. We don't have 0 here. So what is the best method? I think the best method here is to use Desmos. And when using Desmos here, use only the first 2 values. No need, because this is linear. A linear equation, look at this. This point and this point have only one line. So 2 points are enough to identify a line. Okay, so you can write only this like this. And here you can click on this plus sign here and choose the table. Let's make it a little bit wider. Let's zoom in to see everything. Click on this plus sign and choose table. And write the numbers like 1 and go to the right, write 32. Get down, write 2 and 28. That's enough. And then go to this sign here. I don't know if you see it or not. Add regression. Just click on it and make sure that this is a linear regression. And you can get the equation here. You just click in here to make it bigger. -4x plus 36, which makes b 36 and m as -4. But the question says what is the value of b? So b is equal to 36, and this is the most efficient method to use to answer this kind of questions. Whenever you have a table, you can use this method for the linear equations. But here it's not linear, it's quadratic, and also it contains something different. I will show you now how to use it. Number 18, the best method of number 18 is back solving. I can show you now because the hardest part is in the options. This is something to consider in your mind. Put this always into your consideration. Whenever the complication, sometimes the complication come in the options, not in the question. Whenever the complications come in the options, the best method is to use the back solving strategy. I mean, apply the information from the table inside the options. Start from the options themselves. I mean, here substitute, for example. Let's say put x 24. Whenever you put 24 here, 24 minus 24 is equal to 0. Because this is 0, all of this will be 0. Because 0 times anything is equal to 0. So if you replace 24 minus 24, this will be 0. Makes all of this 0 because these are two factors multiplied together. And then the answer is 4. Is 24 associated with 4? No, it's negative 8. So A is incorrect. This is how to back solve. 24 minus 24 is 0. 0 cancels all of this. So the answer is negative 8. So maybe this is correct. But let's check the other number, 30. So replace x with 30 here. 30 minus 24, forget about it. But 30 minus 30 is 0. And the 0 cancels all of this, and we have negative 8, the resulting number, which is okay. Let's check the last part, which is 32. And 32 minus 24 is equal to 8. And 32 minus 30 is equal to 2 minus 8. 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 minus 8 is equal to 8, which is also given here, so B is the correct one. That's how to answer this very simple question by starting from the answers. Question number 19, we have this linear graph. A certain open star cluster contains M-type type star and K-type stars. The estimated total mass of M-type and K-type stars in this open star cluster is this number. This is the total. Grams. The graph shown models the possible combinations of the number of M stars and K stars on the Y. Could be open star cluster of all the M-type stars have the same estimated mass, and all the K-type star have the same estimated mass. Based on the graph, which of the following is closest to the estimated mass in grams of each M type of the star? This line, as you can see, whenever you have a line like this, you can use the equation of the linear equation in the standard form. Standard form is the ideal form to use whenever you have this kind of questions. We have the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So we can use the equation like this. Ax plus by is equal to c. That's the standard form. But instead of A, we write M, because A is associated with x-axis. So mx plus B, and B is K, so Ky is equal to C, which is the total. And the total is here, 127,882. How can we solve this equation to find the value of K? The question asks about each M, it means you have to get the value of M here. So we can choose a point, and whenever you choose a point, make sure that it's easier to choose a point containing 0. You can choose this point or this one, but of course this one is better, because if you choose this one, you write 0 and 140. 0 is x, and x is 0 cancels M, because this is 0, it just gives out. So choose the point that contains 0, but in the y value. So 160, this is not 160. Let's make sure that this is 160 or not. If you just zoom in like this, yeah, it's about 157, maybe 157 or something. So let's say that the point is 157 and 0. Be careful, x is not 0. So now we can replace this value of x by 157 and y by 0 in this equation. So m times 157, 157 or 156, whatever, plus k times y, and y here is 0. Now we can remove the y, equals 127,882. These are cancelled out, and then we can divide by 157 to get the value of m. And of course, the value of m is something approximated, because the question says which is the closest. Closest means the calculator maybe gives you a rough order estimation of the answer. So we write a fraction bar and write 127,882 over 157 and get the closest answer. 814.5. 814.5. Yes, 814 point. It's 11. It's 811. It's very close to 811. Of course, the other numbers are spread away. That's the answer of the question. Question number 20. The cube root of b squared is equal to t to the power of 9 over 7. How can we get that? Yeah, and we have another equation here. Sometimes the second equation is given inside the question. In the given equation, t is greater than 1. T is greater than 1 if t is this, n is a constant. What is the value of n? Yes. How can we answer this question? We can just change this to be an exponential, exponent with a fraction. I mean, p should be written as 2 over 3 in the power, in the exponent, equals to t to the power of 9 over 7. That's the first equation. Second equation is this. T is equal to p to the power of 3n minus 1. Can we put them both on Desmos? Yes, we can do that. And on Desmos, we can use this kind of factoring or grouping system. What is the grouping system we can use here? The grouping system is the square brackets. I mean, you can click on ABC like this, choose this one. Or you can use your computer keyboard to write this. So here we are. P, if you do this, you have to close it and make this sign tend to be. This sign tends to be, and make the other one, make another one like this. This is how to write the notation in the system. And then we start by p to the power of 2 over 3. How can we write it? Write p, and the exponent is something here. And to write 2 over 3, just write 2 and slash 3. That's how to write it. And what is the result here? We need to write this number. But to write this number, you have to go to the other square bracket here. And write t to the exponent of, the exponent is here, and make 9 over 7. 9 over 7. That's the first part. Then make a comma here. Make sure to be down. Make a comma and go to the second part of the equation, t in the left. And go in the second one. Very simple. Make another comma and write p to the power of 3n minus 1. And to write this, you have to be very, very careful. Go to the exponent and make parentheses. You must write the parentheses, because if you let's try to write 3n minus 1. Look, 3n minus 1. Look at minus 1. It goes down. It's not correct. You have to make them up above here. So this is why we have to make the parentheses above here to collect them in a group. This is why we name it grouping system. We have groups. 3n minus 1. That's how to write it. So the question gives you the answers are 1, 1, and 1. We don't consider this, because look, the question says p is greater than 1 and t is greater than 1. Let's choose, for example, p, and choose any number greater than 1. Any number greater than 1. So let's change the p and make it 2, for example. Because the question asks for n. So let's change the p, or maybe t as well. You can, any of them. You can change this p and make it 2. Let's make it 2 here. And this other p, change it to 2. Like this. You get the answer, which is n equals to 0.506. The answer is 0.506, as you can see here in n. What have you, can we try to, yeah, we have another option. Keep the p as it is without changing the number. Keep it p as it is, and then make another comma here, comma, and right after comma, write p. And because p, we choose a number for p, make a comma on the other side, make any number. Try 3, for example. You get n, the same answer. What if you choose 10? The same answer. Any number you choose instead of p, you get the same answer, 0.506 for n, as you can see here. So whenever the number you choose, that's okay. Because we have 3 letters, so we can exclude one of them so that the graphing calculator like Desmos can recognize that we have only 2 variables, not 3 variables. And that's how to get the answer using Desmos, a very efficient and quick method to solve this kind of questions. Question 21. The number A is 55% less than the number B. I mean, A is equal to 55% less. This means 1 minus 55% of the number B. Of course, it's a letter, not a number, but it's written like this because the letter represents a number. What is 1 minus 55%? You can use the calculator or you can think about it. 1 means 100%. 100% minus 55% is 45%, which is 0.45. So we can write A equals 0.45B. And then B is 320% greater, which makes it like this. 1 plus 320% of what? Greater than 160 of 160. How can we simplify this? We can say B is equal to, just put this on the calculator, or you can think about it. 100% plus 320%. It makes it 420%, which is 4.20 or 4.20 times what? Times 160. We can now use the calculator to get the value of A. I mean, A here is 0.45 times B, and B is all of this, 4.20 times 160. Use the calculator like this. I'll write them all together. 0.45 times 4.20 or 4.2 times 160, and you get the answer, which is here 302.4. You can also use the Desmos. Let's try Desmos here together. I'll write these 2 equations here. The first one is, let's make it appearing. A, let's erase this and write also the square brackets. Look, this and, sorry, what happens here? Yeah, like this. And go inside, in between them, and write the tens sign, tens to B. And here we write A. And A is 0.45B, right? Just come here and write 0.45B. And go to the first one again and write comma. And B, use this equation here. B, write B here. And in the second part, we write 4.20 times 160. You can make parentheses like this. 4.20 times 160, and now we get B and A and everything. But the question says find the value of A, so A here, as you see, 302.4, and that's also the method to be used. Okay, number 22 is a quadratic equation. As you can see here, this is very repetitive kind of questions. F of x is equal to this kind of equations, and the function f is defined by the given equation. Which of the following equivalent forms? All of them are equivalent. I mean, the same thing. Of the equation displays the maximum value of the function as a constant or coefficient. Maximum. How can we get the maximum here? But maximum value. The maximum is the k. You know that the vertex is h and k. K is the maximum, not h. H is the x value of the maximum, but k is the maximum itself. And the best method to use to answer this question is Desmos. You can graph this on Desmos and look at the graph will be something like this. Because it's negative, it looks downward, and this point is the maximum. So see the value of y here, and that's the maximum number. Whenever the number here is one of these numbers mentioned in the options, 7, negative 6, 18, 126, 42, 6, the answer will be 24. The answer will be then this option. Let's do this on Desmos. I mean, you can just, the first step is to write this on Desmos and search for the maximum point. Let's make it together. F of x, you can name it y to be easier to write. Negative 6. Or, I mean, yeah, negative 6x squared, x squared. This is how to write the square. Minus 60x. Be very careful when writing and make it more accurate. accurate. And this is our graph. Y is equal to this. Let's get home to see the graph. Here is our graph. Let's go to the maximum. Yes, here it is. The maximum is K, not X, not H. So 24. Look at the options. Which one contains 24 as a coefficient or constant? Yeah, this one. The only one contains a constant of 24, not coefficient. Coefficient is something like this. But it says coefficient or constant, whatever. One of them is okay. So 24 is given in the option, sorry, in the maximum, and also is given in option C. So option C is the answer. That's the easiest method to use to solve this kind of questions. Question 23, we have two triangles. And it says figure is not drawn to scale. In the figure showing WZ and WX intersect at point Q. That's something obvious. YQ is 21. YQ is 21. This side here is 21. And WQ is 70. WQ is equal to 70. And WX is 60. Okay. XQ is 120. XQ is 120. All of these data should be written in the diagram. What is the length of YZ? YZ is this one. So guys, this is very important skill you need to master. The question did not give you the, let's say, the similarity statement, something called similarity statement. Similarity statement is when I say triangle, something like ABC is similar to triangle, for example, X, Y, Z. In this case, we need to recognize always that A corresponds to X. Or maybe you can say BC has a proportion with YZ and so on. But here we do not have the similarity statement. And this is what makes the question a little bit tricky. Tricky question because we do not have the similarity statement. But we can think about this. If you see this angle here, and this angle, these are equal because they are vertical angles. And this angle and this angle are equal, which makes it a similar triangles. So triangles are similar, but similar by what? By AA. AA is angle. How many cases we have in the triangles? We have 4 cases. Something called AA, SSS, SAS, AAS. And we have also something in the right triangle is called a hypotenuse leg or HL. So here we focus on AA because we have angle equal to angle and another angle is equal to another angle. So now which to compare or what the proportion to be written. 70 is between the two given angles and 21 is between the given two angles. So we have to divide 70 by 21. So 70 over 21 equals. And we start from the left. So start always from the left. 60 over this, which is, let's keep it YZ. So 60 in the left, YZ in the right, because the question asks about YZ. And now we can use the calculator or the strokes multiply. YZ times 60 is times 70 is 70 YZ equals to 60 times 21. You divide by 70 in both of the sides. YZ is equal to, you can make it without the calculator, just cancel out the 0. And 21 divided by 7 is equal to 3. Of course, division comes first. 21 divided by 7 is 3, and 3 times 6 is 18. And that's the answer of question number 23. 24, we have this equation. Yeah, this is not that easy to consider without Desmos. Here, I think we have no method other than Desmos. I mean, yeah, we have some methods, but they are not in the SAT. How to factor this, how to factorize this one, you can do that. But it takes too much time. If you want to factorize this one, we have a formula that says x to the power 3 minus a to the power 3 or plus a to the power 3 is equal to x plus a and then x squared minus ax plus x plus a squared. A very long one, and it's not recommended in SAT, so we do not use it. The same at this one, x to the power 4 minus 81 should be x squared and x squared minus 9 and x squared plus 9. This takes too much time. But the easier method here is to use Desmos. Just write the equation. And guys, don't underestimate Desmos. Desmos is a very important and essential tool in SAT. whoever tells you to always work with the manual methods is not correct. Also, always use the calculator, the standard one, it's not correct. Always use Desmos. We cannot use those Desmos always for the questions. I mean, you have to reach to the level at which you decide which method to use. That's what we are looking for. So now we just write this on Desmos. Even if the graph is very big, you can just write it here. And we need to write it without the zero, because the zero here gives you another equation. I mean, we do not need to get the values of x. We need to get the graph, because the graph will be helpful. 52 into the two parentheses like this, go inside everyone and write x to the power 3 for the first one, power of 3, and then plus 64. Go to the second one, write x to the power of 4, x to the fourth power, and then minus 81. And here is your graph. Click on the home and see what the points of intersection here. Why we focus on these? Because of this zero. How many points on the x-axis that do the graph intersect here? It's only 3. If you zoom out, you cannot find anything else. Look, nothing else, just these 3. So we have 3 points of intersection on the graph on the x-axis, which means 3 roots, 3 solutions, 3 x-intercepts, and 3 points of intersection, or 3 real solutions. All of these are the same, so exactly 3. Look at that. The method of Desmos saves too much time. Question 25, we have this diagram. In statistics, the histogram summarizes data set A, which represents the number of points per player earned by 50 players of a game. A new player earned 18 points playing the game, and this number of points is added to the data set A to create data set B with 51 values. Which of the following must be true? Median of B is less than the median of A, and the mean of B is less than the mean of A. How can we calculate this? No need to calculate. By the way, no need for calculation. I'll give you something to understand. If you have 3 numbers, two numbers. If you have 2 numbers like 2 and 4, what is the mean of them? The mean is equal to 2 plus 4 over 2, which makes 3, right? What if we add a number here, like 1? So 1 plus 2 plus 4, this is the new one. 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 3 plus 4 is 7, and 7 over 3, because the mean is dividing by the number of them. 7 over 3 is about 2.3. What happens to the mean? The mean decreased because we add a number smaller than the smaller. What if the 2 and 4 are written and we add a number like 5? What happens? 2 plus 4 plus 5 over 3. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 5 is 11, and 11 over 3 is about 3.6. Look, the number increased. So whenever you add a number greater than the greater number, the mean increases. A number smaller than the smaller number, the mean decreases. That's the very simple method to think about the mean without making any calculations. So here, this is let's say something to understand, but it's not written in the question here. The question says, if we add the number 18, look, where is 18? 18 should be here, which is very small number, smaller than all of this. So the mean decreases. So the mean of the new data set will be less than the mean of the original one. So the mean of the number of players on data set B, which is the new one, is less than the mean of the data set A. Yeah, that's correct. But what about the median? The median, if you have this column, which is very big column, it will not be affected if you add a number here. It will not make any change. For example, the median is something between 50 and 60. Okay, let's make it, for example, 55. What happens if you add this number? This will be moving a little bit or a smaller step to the left. It becomes 54, for example. So it's still in the same column. So the median will not be affected, will not change. So the option A says the median of B is less than. No, it will not be changed. So the only answer is 2, which is letter B. And question number 26, in the triangle XYZ, the measure of angle X is 90, point W lies on the segment YZ. Let's draw it. We cannot understand this question without making some illustration like this. We draw a right triangle, something like this. Sorry for using my handwriting. XYZ, but be careful that X is 90, so this is X here. You can put Y and Z here or here. Maybe you can put Y here and Z here, or the opposite, whatever. Make it here Z, and make this Y, because we need to think about Z. 10Z is something to be clear if it's down here. And then it says point W lies on the YZ. Okay, so that, and segment WX is perpendicular to segment YZ. WX, I mean something like this, is perpendicular to YZ. So here, this is 90 degree, and it's also 90 degree, and the original one here is also 90 degree. This is W. And the question says also that the length of segment WY is 572. WY, this one 572. And the length of segment WX is 429. This one. And what is the value of tan Z? How can we get tan Z? Guys, you know that tan, any angle, is equal to opposite over adjacent, right? But Z is actually in two triangles. If you think about Z as in this triangle, we think about the opposite and adjacent like this. This is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. We know the opposite while we do not know the adjacent, so we cannot use this triangle. Okay, another way. Look at the bigger triangle. Tan Z is equal to the opposite, which is this one, over the adjacent, which is this one. We do not have any of them. We have 572 is the part of it, not all of it. So we cannot use this as well. What is the best method to use here to answer the question? Let's highlight something. I will show you now that we can use this angle, and instead of this angle, we can use this angle. And these are equal angles. Why? I tell you something. Let's think about this angle as 30. If this is 30 and this is 90, this will be what? 60. But because this total is 90, this will be 30, right? Look at what happened. 30, 30. They are the same. Another one is, try another one. If this angle right here is 20, this will be 70, right? Because the total of this triangle is 180. And we have 90 already here, so 70 and 9 and 20 becomes 90. So this 70 makes this also 20 because the total is 90 still here. So this 20 is the same as this one. This is why these two angles must be equal. So instead of angle Z, we use angle, let's name it 1. So tan Z is equal to tan 1. We name it angle 1 instead of writing WX. Why? Just name it 1. And tan 1 is equal to the opposite of 1 over the adjacent of 1, because 1 lies inside this smaller triangle. Tan 1 is equal to opposite 572 over the adjacent 429. Use the calculator to simplify this. We can write 572 divided by 429 and get the answer as 4 over 3, and tan Z is equal to 4 over 3 letter D. I hope you understand it. So this is the best method to use. And also, why do we invent the calculator? We cannot simply simplify this easily. It takes some time to simplify. Why using your manual method? In most of the cases, you have to use the calculator, which can save some time. This is the same as Desmos also. Why don't we use Desmos? And we know that this saves too much time. Question 27, which is the last one. An area of 46 square nautical miles is equivalent to k square kilometers. Be careful, squared. To the nearest tenth, what is the value of k? And we have this conversion rule. Nautical mile, let's name it n mile. And kilometers, let's make it km. 1 nautical mile, 1 is here, is equivalent to 1,852 kilometers. But we're not talking about nautical miles and kilometers in the question. We are talking about the square nautical mile and the square kilometer. So we need to square all of this. This should be squared. So nautical mile, let's make it nautical mile again, squared, and the kilometer also squared. So this one is also squared, and 1 squared is 1, by the way, so no need to write 1 to write the square. 1852 must be also squared. And then the question gives 46 square nautical miles, which should be written below the nautical mile. So we write here 46 only without writing the square, because it's already mentioned squaring, it's already squared. And here we can use x for the value. X times 1 is x, equals to this time is this. Use the calculator, 46 times 1852 to the square power. And then we use the calculator to get the answer. Wait, this is 1 point. Of course, this is 1 point, not, 1 point. 1.852. There's a point here. Sorry for this misunderstanding, because otherwise we get a very, very big number. So now we can use the calculator and write 46 times 1.852 and get out and write the square sign like this and get equal. And we get this number. And the question says n in what? To the nearest tenth. Nearest tenth means 157.8. Because the tenth means, the calculator gives you this number, 157.77, and whatever the number is. We need to stop here because the tenth means only 1 digit after the decimal point. But have a look at the number that comes after it. If it's more than 4, change this by increasing it by 1. So the answer is 157, but 0.8. That's your answer. And that's all about this exam. This exam is very important. Also, the real videos are coming every week. Every week we'll have another exam answered like this, maybe real ones. And the most important thing I will focus on is building your skills, because building the skills passes through the 4 steps, as we mentioned before. Fluency, you have to be fluent first, and then understanding, because if you understand, you save too much time. And then application, which means apply whatever you understood in the real world situations, which are some questions like these, for example. And then something called reasoning. Okay, so I pass you through all of these levels. Once you reach the reasoning level, you are perfect in math, and you master all the skills before that, and you get the highest mark you desire. That's all for today. I hope you get something from the lesson, and I'm waiting for you in the next videos. And thank you very much, and see you later. Bye.